I am here with Mackenzie. She has been a muse for me for many years, and I absolutely love calling on her to come back and do some fun sessions with me. So we are going to do the Lemonhead session. I have another video that I did where I made the actual headpiece, and you'll be able to see that in another video. I'm going to bring this closer so you can see this. I'll link the video of the making of the Lemonhead. So look how beautiful she is. And we did eye makeup to look like lemons. And the vintage dress I got from a vintage market here. And so we are just going to do some lemon pictures and kind of, I have a few lemons that I had left over that we're going to kind of use as props. So, yeah, so you're going to come along with us as we do this photo session. And I'm going to make sure to see her. There we are. Fun. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3. I like odd numbers. So you're just going to kind of hold them. Kind of like that. Yep. Maybe kind of more like, yeah, like that. I feel like we need more. I feel like we need to have as many as we can. So I lied. We're going to do 6. There we go. No one's counting. Perfect. All right. So I already got the lighting set. I got this beautiful yellow backdrop. And my settings are so good. 200th of a second, f4.5 and 400 ISO. And I'm going to chase a lemon down. Yeah, don't worry about that. Okay, so you're just going to have very, that lemon doesn't want to play with the rest. There we go. Perfect. And then kind of this finger out like that. Beautiful. I'm just going to straighten that baby up. Perfect. All right, so you don't actually have to move at all. I like the very perfect. Straight on. I'm going to get a couple full length ones just to have. I don't think we're going to do full length. I think I want more kind of close-ups. Perfect. I will show you my inspiration photos that I did. I went on AI. I love working with AI for getting inspiration for sessions. And I don't copy them exactly, but it just gives me inspiration. So these are the AI images that I am using. And yeah, so that's what we're doing. So I'm going to have you sideways. So I'm going to have you face that way. Yep, perfect. Let's do an actual, see, we can't do.
Do you mind playing it back a little bit?
Like
there,
this?
Yeah, there we go. So
I can't really do a, oh, we got one here, it's going to fall. It's not a 360 degree. So I'm going to have you bring your head towards me. Yep. Perfect. And this is perfect. Yep. All right. And I'm not worried about the zipper here. If you can see that. Vintage dresses, if you go vintage dress shopping, sizes, like the biggest size you'll find is like a 2. I think everyone was super skinny back in the 20s and 30s. So this is an absolute vintage dress. So they're very, very tiny. So sometimes zippers don't work or anything, but I'll fix that in Photoshop. So because Mackenzie is very tiny, very tiny. All right. Okay, bring chin up if you can. Yep, just like that. And then closed eyes. Beautiful. Love it. All right, I'm going to grab these. This is my bag. There we go. I want to give you the other the lemons. You're doing good with that.
A balancing act.
Yes. So I actually have real lemons for us to use. The lemons obviously in the hat are not real, but I always try to have as many real elements as I can. So these are gonna, I don't know what that was. So we're just gonna do some kind of fun. So I'm gonna have you go, and I like the fingers out like that. So it's gonna be more whimsical and fun. Like perfect. Bring them in a little bit towards your eyes. In a little bit more. Right there, right there. That is perfect. I love that. Let me get a close up. All right. One more. Cute. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, let's do a couple, maybe with facing this way, maybe kind of like a hand up. Yeah, just on the, maybe both hands up there. Yeah, like that. Can you tilt your head, like chin up like that? Perfect. And you can hold this with your hand. And I'm going to try to shoot really quick. All right. Perfect. Close your eyes. Okay, I want you really just kind of like exaggerate that pose. Perfect. Perfect. One more right there. Close your eyes again. Okay, awesome. All right, I got it.
And you're gonna edit out these little.
Thank you. Yep, I had out the little nippy things too because those darts are like, I think they wore pointy bras back then. If you look at the fashion, so no pointy bras nowadays unless you're Madonna. But thanks for watching, and I will show you an edited version of this. So thanks for tuning in. If you like watching behind the scenes and videos that are a little bit more creative, make sure to give me a like and subscribe below. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, let me know. I will do links to different things in the description as well. So thanks for watching. So I kind of wanted to show you how I start out with my editing in ePhoto. I use it differently if I'm going to do more of a fine art high-end edit versus something for my clients, my high school senior work. My client and senior work, I do a little bit more extensive work in ePhoto, and with my fine art work I like to just use it sort of as a base and do more fine detailed work in Photoshop. So what I am going to do with this one, I'm going to start out over here in the background, and since it's a plain background I'm going to just hit the auto detect distractions removal, and then that gets rid of the little bit on top and just kind of cleans it up. If you have a white background, it's really pretty amazing. And I don't do any changing sky replacements. If you're going to do anything with any kind of awards, a lot of times you can't add that type of AI thing. So I just kind of get rid of distractions. And then I'm going to go into the clothing. And this is what ePhoto is really great for, because as you can see along her back, you know, there's a lot of wrinkles and stuff. And this is an old vintage dress. And so they have those pointy boobs that they used to wear back in the, I don't even know what era that was, but you know, there's a lot of distractions I will get rid of in Photoshop, but ePhoto might take care of a lot of the wrinkles. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit on de-wrinkle and kind of see where that takes it. And that gets it pretty good. Sometimes you don't want clothing to look plastic either. You need, excuse me, you need some of the wrinkles. So I'm gonna start like that. And you see that she must have had a black strapless bra on or something, and I will take care of that in Photoshop. Excuse me. So now we're gonna go over to the person, not the clothing or the background, and I'm just going to take up the freckles and acne just a little bit, just to clear up a little bit of the skin. Let me go in here. For my
regular client work, I do a lot more extensive in this set with sculpting and that type of thing. But I like to do my sculpting with Dodge and Burn manually. Now her eye makeup got a little bit crazy and creased here. That I'm going to take care of in Photoshop as well. So I am going to just do a little bit with eye bags and dark circles, maybe lip wrinkles a little bit. I will do a little bit with the double chin. That does add a little bit of Dodge and Burn, but I will take care of more of that later. I think I'm going to take care of some of those neck wrinkles. I really never have to use this that often. So let me see if that, yep, I'm going to take care of that a little bit as well. So I'm just going to toggle a little bit on with my space bar. You know, when you work with skin, you want to see those pores and things. So I don't want to do too much with softening skin. I will take care of that later. And then let's go down here with skin retouching. I'm going to do just a little bit of even with Dodge and Burn on body skin. I don't think I need much more than that. So I think this is pretty much all I'm going to do with Evoto for my fine art edit. The rest I'm going to do in Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is export this and open it up in Photoshop for the final edit. Okay, I wanted to finalize the editing of this image. I have taken it into Photoshop, and you can see here I have the sort of the base Evoto edit on top of the raw image. And so what I like to do when I edit is I have certain workflow that I work in. The first thing I do is I do any kind of compositing or cropping, because I want to be working on the same pixels. I don't want like to start working on an image if I'm going to have a crop later. I do final cropping at the end as well, but I do start with cropping or any compositing in anything that I want to composite in, so that I am working on my entire base image. For this image, I don't have any compositing, and I'm not going to be doing any cropping, so I'm not going to be showing you any of that. And then I do the basics. So that is any kind of levels, contrast, or any of that basic overall kind of base thing, and then I go into details. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the details, and I will go and start in her face, and I'm going to work on the eyes, because when she put the eye makeup on and she opened her eyes, it kind of creased like that. So the first thing I always do is I always create a duplicate layer. So your shortcut for that is Command J. And I always work with shortcuts. That's huge for me because it's such a time saver. So as I'm kind of going through this, I'm just going to give you what my shortcuts are. So Command J is my shortcuts for creating a new layer. I always like to work on top of a layer. So with this, I'm going to, I think I'm going to use my patch tool and start with that. And since you're working on a new layer, you always have the one underneath it to go back to if you need to. And I'm just kind of grabbing little bits and kind of going to an area that has the texture that I want for this area, and just work little bits by bits, because if you take a big area, you're going to kind of get kind of an overflow from areas you don't want. So I'm just going to kind of work like this. When you edit, you have to have a lot of patience, so put on some good music and make sure you have time. There's nothing worse than trying to do an edit when you're in a hurry, and we all edit when we're in a hurry sometimes and on deadlines. We're all guilty of that. So but I just love fine art editing, you know, just when I have some time. It's very therapeutic for me. Okay, so I think that's a good start for that. And one thing I should have, I'm gonna get this hole in her ear, her little earring hole. And I should have done in Evoto, gone and done the stray hairs. But since I didn't do that, that's fine. We're gonna work on that here. And I think what I might do is, I think if I like to go up here and click on the quick selection tool here, select subject, because that might not, see, that did not select the hairs. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm not gonna worry about, actually I am going to take this away. Oops, wrong one. Add. The quick selection tool now works pretty good. And I have to warn you, I work on a pretty outdated system. My computer's old and it doesn't let me do a lot of things in Photoshop. So there's a few things that I don't have in Photoshop that you guys probably have. So you might be thinking, use this, use that, but there's a few things that I don't have. So I'm going to Command J again. So if you look over in the layers palette, I have just her on that. So what I'm going to do is work on the layer underneath her for the hairs, and that way I can clone in, and I'm not going to be cloning on her skin. So for this, I'm going to use the cloning tool, and that is the S or stamp. Use the S tool or the S key, and that is going to be your shortcut. And then just Option, and just you're going to grab spots outside of the hairs and just kind of clone in. And with her selected, it's going to keep that edge. That quick selection tool, that is just, it's like been heaven for editing. It's just helped so much. And I'm going to go on this side, and since her arms are included, I'm going to go in and that helped quite a bit. So before and after for that. All right, I'm also going to go, I'm going to go on the layer with that I selected. I'm also in clone still. I'm just going to go above her lip and just kind of clean up that line above her lip a little bit. I want to keep the Cupid, what do they call it, Cupid's bow? Maybe I will patch that out. This one's just clean up above her lip a little bit. Now she has uneven lips, which I will fix a little bit in Dodge and Burn. So then I'm going to go down, just kind of take a look at things. I'm going to get my patch tool, just kind of get rid of that. Also, what's great is the spot healing brush. And I know there's a, I think it's called a remove tool, which I don't have, which is also great. But this is great for like little spots too. I know she's got a mole here. I think I'll get rid of that mole. I'm going to keep all the ones on her arm. For this spot here, I think what I'm going to do is, not this, I'm going to go to the patch tool. I think that's what's going to work the best for that. We want even transitions here. You just have to work in little bits and just kind of make sure you're going to get rid of that line, since I want to follow the shadows there. Now I'll have to decide if I want to remove that whole line or not. I think I'm going to do a little bit more work on the dress later. I'm going to kind of do that same thing with the, so it must have been a kind of a white pad under her under her dress here. Gonna get rid of some of that line. Gonna even some of that out a little bit. All right. Back here, I'll see what that does when I work on the coloring of the dress, because I don't want to mess up those wrinkles, but you can kind of see that kind of helped quite a bit, even that out. All right, so now what I want to do, I think, is when I go in to edit something, I kind of have an idea of what I want to do, but sometimes I just kind of let it flow and kind of see what happens. I think I want to go towards more of a whimsical look with this. So what I want to do is, this dress is kind of like a light color tone. So I want to make it a little bit more of a vibrant or deeper tone. So what I'm going to do is, above this layer, I am going to go down here and I'm going to add a solid color. Nope. What I'm going to do is add a blank layer, and then in here I want to go to color mode, and so then I'm going to take my dropper tool. So I hit the I button, and that's going to give me the eyedropper. That's easy, pretty easy to remember. And I'm just going to click on a yellow, and this, we can change this color later, but it's going to give us a starting point. So then I'm going to hit the B for brush, and I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller. And what I'm going to do is take this layer, and I'm going to put dress color, and I'm going to clip it to the layer below. So it's going to clip to her cutout here. And so what I just do is hover over between the two, click option, and you're going to get this box with the arrow down, and then just click on it. So now that's clipped to this layer, so it's not going to affect the background at all. And so what I'm going to do is, when you paint it, it's just going to paint this color, and I'm just going to paint it on the dress. I mean, it'll paint over the arm, so I can take that off later too if I happen to get it on the arm. So I am on a soft brush here, and I'll go in and fine tune the edges in a bit, so don't freak out. And you don't really have to matter, just the edges between her and her skin tones. The outside edges don't matter, because remember, this is cut out. We're going to refine the color later and the edges. So this is a cutout, so it's not affecting the background at all. Because I'm going sort of like a retro vibe. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is get a little bit harder of a brush for the edges. Make this smaller. Kind of hit those edges. When you do this color mode, it gets the color gets more saturated in the darks, and it doesn't really affect much on the whites. It doesn't really catch in the whites, but on the darks it really, sort of like when you work with colored gels when you're photographing. Okay, so now I'm going to put a mask on this. So you go down here and click this, and that's going to give me a mask. And then with a black color, I'm going to paint around the edge where it got on her skin. So right now my color is white, and to change it to black, the shortcut is just hit the X key, and it just swaps those two colors. So whenever you're painting, you can always just hit the X key if the color you want is in the other box. So I'm just going to be painting at 100% and just remove it off her skin tone. Off her skin, not her skin tone. Same thing. All right. And then if you do that and you mess up, I don't work on a pad, a tablet I should say. I have tried and tried, but since I'm left-handed, I work so much with my shortcut keys with my left hand, and I found that I just couldn't do the both. I couldn't do the tablet with my writing with my left hand and do all my shortcuts with my left hand. So I am old school and I use my mouse, and that's okay because that's what I'm used to and I do it fast. Okay, so let's go bring it out. Okay, so now that color is a little bit too much the same as the background. So what you do is you click on this layer you just painted the color, and then I'm going to click Command U. So that's going to bring up the hue saturation. And so then all you have to do is really go in hue, and you can kind of play with that color. You can make it any color. You can play with the saturation. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to make it a little bit like that. So let's just play with the saturation. So you can make it super bright, you can make it dull. We're going to make it fun. I don't think we need to go up in saturation much. We kind of want similar color tones. We don't want, okay, I think like that. It kind of matches the lemons. All right, I'm happy with that. Okay, so now what I want to do is go in and work on the skin tones. So I'm going to go back to this layer with that's just her, and then I am going to go and Command J. So I'm making a copy of that so I can always go back to the original one. And so I am going to do again hue saturation, and I think what I want to do now, this is going to affect other things, but we're going to use masking, so don't judge me as other things are changing. So I think what I want to do is kind of like a whimsical thing. So I think I'm going to go in the red channel because there's a lot of red in skin tones here. Let me pop this up a little bit. And I think I'm going to bring the hue up a little bit so her skin isn't so red. We're going to bump the saturation up because I want this kind of a retro saturated thing. So let's lighten it up too. Lighten it up a little bit. Let's just kind of play with it. There we go. I think we get it lighter and more saturated. Kind of like right around there. Like her fingers are kind of orange, but I will work with that a little bit. Let's try and just kind of play around with different. Okay, so let's preview that. Yeah, it's crazy when you do the toggle and you see where you start and then where you kind of end. It's just like, oh my goodness, that's so crazy. Okay, so we're gonna do that, and I think I want to do something with those lemons. I feel like those lemons need to be, I don't know, maybe the lemons are fine. I'm going to actually just hit the marquee tool. So I'm just going to grab the lemons. Command J. So now just the lemons are on another layer. And don't worry about what happens underneath there. Let's actually pull that on top there. So I'm just working with the lemon head. And then I'm going to hit Command U again. And then just kind of, we can make them a little bit darker. I think I like them darker, like that. I think that's all that it took, just to get rid of some of that bright or lemony yellow. We can play with, I don't think we need to play with saturation. Lightness, nope. So don't worry about what happens with their face, because we're gonna work with that. All right, so preview. Okay, so then I'm gonna come in, do a mask, the black brush. So I'm hitting B for brush, X to get the black, I'm gonna go back to a soft brush. I'm just gonna paint it off anything it did on the face. All right. So now what I want to do, I think, is sometimes when you have a lot of layers, what I like to do is create a layer on top that's flattened, but it has all of what I did here, but it's still, these layers are still here if I have to go back and do anything with them. So how you do that is I'm on a Mac, so if you're on a PC, you need to translate, but Command, Option, Shift, E, and on the top that created a brand new layer with all these other ones that are still here, but I can work on this layer now. So what I'm going to do is, those orange fingers kind of bother me, so I'm going to hit Command Shift A, and what that's going to do is that's going to take it into Camera Raw, and I'm going to go down, and I'm just looking at the fingers because I'm going to work with the orange slider down here in the color mixer and just get rid of some of that orange. And click OK. All right, so now what I'm going to do is a mask. And this mask, I'm going to hit Command I because I'm going to hide what I did and then paint back with white. It's kind of a reverse mask. So then I'm just going to paint off kind of that oranginess. There's a little bit of orangey here. That's just reflections off of the lemons above. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to kind of make her lips and cheeks a little bit more retro, kind of give her color. So then what I do for that is I go down on the bottom, solid color, and I'm gonna pick a color kind of like for her cheeks, maybe kind of like a rosy cheek color. And this color changes later. I mean, this is definitely not a color we're going to keep. It's just kind of a place to get started. Go to this mask, we're going to Command I, so we're going to hide that mask. And then what we're going to do is hit B for brush, and we're going to hit 1 on our keyboard, and that's going to change our opacity to 10. And if you don't know this trick, for opacities, what you do is if I hit 3, it's going to go to 30%. If I hit 0, it's going to go to 100%. If I want 44%, I hit 44 twice. But this one I want 10%. So then I'm going to have a big brush, and I'm going to hit her cheeks. Tap, tap a couple of times. Tap, tap. And then if you want to kind of play around with the color, sometimes if you have something like really big on your screen, it's really kind of harder to see what you're doing. So I kind of go back a little bit smaller. And to change that color, you just double click in that little color square, and you can kind of tap around in here to find that perfect color. Let's say we want it a little bit redder, and go into the red. And I want this a little bit bright because I want this to be a little more retro and kind of whimsical. And then you work with opacity. So right now we're at 100, and so then you usually go down to 0 and then kind of bring it back a little bit. I'm gonna leave it there. And then if I want to take a little bit off, I just hit X, paint with black, just tap. I think this side's a little bit too much, so I take a little bit off. And I'm going to do that same thing. So I'm just going to with another layer. So I'm going to go down here, solid color. This time I'm going to do her lips. So I think we're going to give her those lips. Okay, so we're going to Command I. We're going to go in. I gotta paint with white, so I have to hit X. And then you just kind of, like the lips, we could probably go in at a higher opacity than 10. Let's go in. You can go in at 100 and then just work with the opacity in your, but that's a little bit crazy. So we're gonna go in at 30%. So I can already tell this is too bright, but that's fine because we can change it. So let's go here. I want a little bit deeper color. Okay, so another thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this from normal, go to darken and multiply, I think. Darken. I usually go between darken and multiply on this for the lips. Oops, it didn't do it. So normal, when you're on normal mode, you're kind of like painting over shadows, and so that it looks fake. So when you go into darken and multiply, it kind of, I think I like the multiply mode. So then I think I'm gonna go in, and now it's too dark in multiply mode, so I'm gonna go in and brighten it up a little bit. And you just kind of play around if you want it more pink or red, or if you want it more, I think I want it more orangey red. Let's go there, and then with this opacity, bring it down a little bit. I think like that. And I think I want to kind of play in her eyes as well. So I'm just going to do blank layer. And I'm going to just, let's see here. I think I'm going to get a brown brush. So I hit the eye. I'm just going to take brown from her eyebrows. And hit the B for brush and 1 for 10%. Oh, I had 11% because I did it twice. And then I'm gonna go big, and I'm just gonna kind of gonna go in here and darken this area a little bit. You know, I might go 100%, go a little bit, make a couple. Fill that in a little bit. That one looks a little bit too fake. Kind of make an eyeliner. You can do in Evoto, you can do makeup, but I like to kind of do it on my own here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do eyeliner. Color fill 2 was the lips. Color fill 1, I'm just cheeks. Sometimes I like to go in and name the layers, so if I go back, I don't have to kind of. All right, so I think I got that the way I want it. Okay, now what I want to do is a final dodge and burn. So I'm going to Command Option Shift E. One more dupe layer. This was a dupe layer. Okay, so now here what I want to do is there's so many different ways to dodge and burn. I have some actions that I created, and I have a dodge and burn that I love because what it does, oh, it added it. Where did it do with it? Oh, it added it down here. I'm gonna highlight that. Okay, so what my dodge and burn does is it adds a black and white layer, because this is just a layer that I erase later on, but you're going to paint on this layer. It says layer 4. I'm going to put dodge and burn. And it's just a 50% gray layer. So I like to dodge and burn on one layer. I don't want to go between two layers. There's so many different ways to do this. And then just make sure your swatches over here are black and white. And then all you have to do is, I like to paint in 10%. So you make sure you're on your brush and hit the 1 for 10. And another thing, I'm always in 100% flow. Since I'm not working with a tablet and a pen, I work at 100% flow just so I have more control over edges and whatnot. Okay, so I am going to start with burn. So I'm on the black, 10%. And so what I'm going to do is just give dimension. And sometimes I do my dodge and burn on over the cutout layer. So I'm going to actually, on my dupe layer, I'm going to do that first here. I'm going to go up here, select subject, and then Command J. I'm going to take my dodge and burn layer, hit the option, and I'm going to pin that down to that layer. So now I'm not going to affect the background at all. So I can go around the edge of her dress and not affect the background. So I'm going to, I got my brush. So what I'm going to do is kind of sculpt her face. And she's got amazing cheekbones already. I mean, I really don't have to do much. This is a little bit bright. I like the forehead a little bit brighter, but I want to control that. And I just kind of go, I like to work out a little bit, but I'll bring it up a little bit. I'll make a little bit of her here. She's got this great little cleft in her chin. I think and I could go in and on these lemons too and kind of shadow these lemons, which I might do in a bit. I'm going to shadow this hand a little bit because I want her face to be the brightest. So I'm going to shadow this part of her arm a little bit more. The outside of her arm. Shadowing arms really can help slim too, slim bodies. I'm going to kind of highlight, or not highlight, I'm going to paint in like the shadows of her dress here. I a lot of times just follow what's already there. Okay, I'm going to hit the X and I'm going to get the white now, and I'm going to I'm still in her dress, and let's see here. Her arm has pretty good. Okay, and then her face, let's see here. Maybe her eyelid a little bit. I usually like to go down the nose. She's got pretty good lips. I like to kind of go in the lips. Cheeks. All right. So I'm gonna go down a little bit. So now I'm just gonna toggle the black and white layer, no, this color layer, and you can just see the black and white, how it kind of sculpts her face and whatnot. I think maybe I'm getting highlights. I maybe will go in and just kind of tap on some of these lemons here a little bit. I think they're already kind of bright. Actually, I'm gonna go X. I'm on the black, and I'm just gonna kind of go around some of these lemons, give them a little bit more depth. Dodge and burn is really your key when you are doing anything kind of more fine arty. I even just use it in regular senior images. It just sculpts and adds so much dimension. It's just crazy what it can do. If you've got good lighting, sometimes you know it's pretty good the way it is. But I don't think I ever have a fine art image that I don't do some dodging and burning in. Okay, so now I'm going to turn off that black and white layer and then dodge and burn, and you can see. See, I don't like what it did on the arm. A lot of times when you burn, it makes the color more saturated, and that's kind of what, when with editing and like when you're working with color, when you darken it, it kind of saturates that color. So I'm not crazy about that part. So what I'm going to do a mask, and I'm going to get 100%, and I'm going to take that off that arm, that ear. Let's see now. Okay, I'm liking that. They're sort of like crazy. I see I turn off the dupe layer. There's no color in the background. All right, so I'm kind of seeing a halo around the background here, around her dress, and I'm just trying to figure out what layer is creating that. So I'm just turning off and on layers. Either way, I'm just going to erase that black layer. That black and white layer I erase later. It's not that. Not that. So when you do that, look at her, like her dress even has a little bit more dimension in it. All right, it's not that. That's eyeliner, and this is makeup. I'm just gonna group those together. Makeup. Makeup, black and white, delete. Oh, okay. Oh, I see that. All right. That's my head. Dress color. All right, I'm just going around trying to figure out where this color difference is from. I'm just going to group it all together. There's a before, there's the after. So what I'm going to do actually in that group, I am going to put a mask. Just paint around the edge there. Just going around the edges here, get that color. So I'll probably do a little bit more with it. I think what I'm going to do though is do a liquefy. So I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to Command Shift X. Oh. I don't want that copy. Don't want that copy. All right. So what I'm going to do is, I don't know if I can do a Command Option Shift E. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Command J, and then Command Shift X is going to bring that into liquefy. So what I want to do, so what I can do in liquefy is, if I wanted to go in and kind of push this out a little bit, make this even bigger. You just want to make sure you don't warp some of those lemons, but you can kind of even that out a little bit. I would probably bring in her waist a little bit here, bring that in, and then on the bottom, and I know there's lots of ways to do this. Kind of bring that, I don't necessarily want the front out. I kind of like the front like that, and then the back, it gives more movement, kind of gives her that extra little curve. Kind of like that. So I like that, evens all that out a little bit. I'm gonna put this as final. So there's before, after, before, after. So thanks for following along and taking this little editing journey with me. Hope you have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions at all. And you can put those in the comments. You can like and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you.